was right in there and having a good sniff around. The Monday Scrum.
Hello and welcome to a new look Monday Scrum. We do have Brent Read returning, unfortunately, but because the great Benji Marshall has retired from his media commitments to focus on the West Tigers, we are lucky enough to have the one and only Aaron Woods joining us for the rest of the season. Woodsy, welcome. I'm sorry you have to put up with Reedy, but it's great to have you on the show.
He's rock solid, Woodsy.
Appreciate it.
Get used to
It is hard work with Reedy. I see him every now and then on a Saturday. It's tough, Yakka.
She'll be knifing you the moment you leave the room.
Please. Big shoes to fill, Benji.
They are,
He's been
but you
everywhere.
are more than capable of filling them. You're part of the Triple M family already.
Love it. It's the best place to be.
Reedy, but we thought Chamis had knifed you, actually,
He
so
did his
after
best.
a few weeks.
He did his best. I'm sure he's still doing it in the background, probably ringing Charlie every second day, just stabbing me. What about that crap mail? Anyway, wouldn't expect any less
How
of
did
Chamis.
Chamis go on here?
I didn't listen. I refused to listen
What?
on the sideline.
Likewise. He's a dribbler.
I
Turn
assume
me
you've
off.
been listening each and every week.
Except for
Woodsy?
that week.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
2 weeks it was.
2 weeks, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, there's plenty to talk about
Ratings
today.
plummeted, apparently. Is that right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We'll remind, did you know Reedy's segment is the highest rating segment in the history of Triple M?
Really?
I don't know if that's true.
Wow.
So we'll get to
I'll
Reedy's
take it.
mail in a little while.
I love his intro.
Yeah.
The song.
Read about it. Let's not get too excited.
Yeah,
Let's get stuck into the Cowboys and Tigers because there was a fair bit going on up in Townsville. Perhaps the craziest 5 minutes of footy I have ever seen. But let's relive it with a Triple M commentary team.
Oh, no, that you cannot take this off the top.
Sideways, which denies Kyle Felton.
No! That's a disgrace!
This video
That is a
referee's been watching the wrong
disgrace!
game.
That is a disgrace, Dan. There has been a balaclava, a sawed-off shotgun, and someone's gone up to Townsville and robbed the Tigers of 2 points, Dan.
A balaclava, a shotgun.
And robbed.
That's probably the best minute of radio I've ever heard.
Really?
From,
Not
I like
involving
that.
yourself, of course.
No,
Yeah.
Reedy, come on. What do you think of it for the Tigers? Well, Graham Annesley has spoken this afternoon.
Yeah, and he basically said they had the right to challenge the decision or that moment. They were able to use the captain's challenge, but he acknowledged, I think, that the decision was wrong, which I think I think we all think that decision was wrong, that penalty against AJ Kapara was wrong. So I think we're all on the same. I think, mate, would you agree with that? It was a wrong decision?
I totally agree. We called the game live.
Yeah.
I was with Jimmy when we had
was
the
going
big blow-up.
ballistic.
He was going berserk. It was quite scary. Charlie was in the room at the same time.
Did you fear for your safety?
I was lucky. I had Dan Ganane in front of me, so in between us. So I was to the
Did he
side. I was
get the finger,
Yeah,
the
he was,
bent
mate,
finger
he
up?
was like
Wow.
red, like a tomato in his head. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. But look, I agree with being able to take the captain's challenge, but I think the decision that they've come up with, I don't know how they've come up with that Kyle Felt got obstructed with the escort. It's a poor decision, and the Tigers were the better side on the day. We spoke about it on air live, and it was just a really poor decision. And for them, they're coming dead last. They're last with the Titans, sorry, but then they could have jumped they're battling for the spoon. And what if it was for a top 4 position or minor premiership? That's what we're so lucky that it wasn't. But
Yeah.
it's just I feel so sorry for the Tigers fans.
And obviously the Tigers have spoken about legal action, and they've put
Is
a
that is that genuinely?
Surely
That
not.
you can't.
Well, I spoke to
that,
someone
can
there today who was backtracking a bit on that, and they're saying the legal action we were talking about was getting legal advice on how we tackle this with the NRL. They won't win. Look, right, this happened in the AFL about 16 years ago. The AFL, someone kicked a point after the siren. The umpires didn't hear the siren, kicked the point, hit and it levelled the game. And it was St Kilda and Freo, and Freo complained about it because the kick should have never been allowed, and the AFL actually overturned it. But they overturned it but they made it very clear that they weren't overturning it because of an officiating decision. They were overturning it because there was a technical problem and
At the time,
right?
siren.
So this is now that Graham's vindicated the actual captain's challenge. Then now we're talking about an officiating decision, a mistaken officiating decision. You cannot overturn that.
Yeah,
because where do you draw the line?
You can't, I was about to say, so
Yeah.
they've been dudded with the core. They've come out now and said, it happened with us and the Dragons in Canberra a couple of weeks back. We got a lucky decision at the end of the game. Canberra were filthy, but they just copped on the head. So are we going to go back to each week and say every decision that they get wrong, and then what can we change to 2 points each game?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
You can't do it, no. And I mean, even in that game, if you went back through that 80 minutes, I'm sure you'd find moments when the Cowboys were dudded by decisions.
Well, they had a try where it was knocked back.
Yeah. So it's just. Look, they're not going to get the 2 points back. It's not going to happen. Now that, as I said, Graham said technically there was no technical issue with what happened.
So why were they allowed then? For those who don't understand, why were they allowed to take the captain's challenge?
Well, I wasn't at Graham's thing today, but I can only assume it's because it was a stoppage, and you're allowed to do that as a stoppage in play. You're allowed to.
Yeah, well, the ref
do a
never
captain's
blew
challenge.
never blew full time at the end of the game. He asked him if they want to have an option for the captain's challenge, and they've gone to it. So I got nothing wrong with that, because if he doesn't blow the full time whistle, then you're allowed to do that, and he never did that.
And you've got to leave that open, because what if you had at the end of a game? What if a guy was trying to score a try, had the ball stripped in a 2-on-1 and in a 2-man tackle?
Exactly right.
And you couldn't challenge it.
You've got to have the option. That's why you've got a captain's challenge up your sleeve.
Yeah. Yep. So
poor old Tigers were dudded. I was just on their flight back from Townsville. They were
how were they?
Gutted still.
What was it like on the sidelines?
I had my hands on my head. I couldn't even get words out. I'm sitting next to JT thinking, am I actually watching this? It was crazy.
You know what, Em? We were watching it, and when it was Dane Laurie scored that try in the corner to put him ahead, I still said to Dan Gannane, I said, mate, I don't think the game's over yet.
I thought the same. I thought the short kickoff.
Yes, exactly.
But then once it went about 30 metres, I'm thinking, he's gone too far, we're done.
The other thing for me is they didn't blow time off on the clock. They let it go for about a good minute and a half, and then they stopped it with 1 second to go on the clock.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a calamity.
Poor blokes have been dudded massively.
Calamity.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Would have been great to be there though.
It was incredible.
While all that was going on, I reckon it would have been mayhem.
And JT is always he's animated at the best of times, but when it's the Cowboys as well, he's just looking at me, and we couldn't get words out. It was
how good to look up there. Sunday Arvo Footy.
So good.
The new stadium.
That's a beautiful stadium up there. It wasn't full, but it was still really great atmosphere.
And you know what? The Tigers played really well.
I thought that was one of their best performances all year.
Adam Dewey coming back transformed them, I reckon.
Yeah, they've been a lot better. I thought Luke Brooks had one of his best games, linking up with Tulangi on the left edge. It was unreal.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just not sure about the Hastings experiment at lock. Yeah. I spoke about it live on air. I just think they need another middle forward punching through, because they've only got two blokes punching through, and then.
An Aaron Woods type?
No, not me. Not at the moment. But look, honestly, I just think if he's getting the ball, he's either going to play shape. Not much else is going to happen from him.
But they're obviously working that theory now that.
But what it also does,
a lot of teams have 13s like that.
But what it does, it limits the effect of Dewey and Brooks, because he's such a dominant ball player. You look at how many times he's touched the ball yesterday.
Constantly.
Yeah.
All the time. Whereas either Brooks or Dewey stays on one side of the edge, and they don't swing around, which to have two chief playmakers on the open side.
Because Hastings is there, they don't swing around.
Yeah, so that's what's problem. I reckon it's just stifling their attack a little bit.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They were pretty good yesterday. I thought there was some encouraging signs though for them to go hammer and tong with the Cowboys, and that's a big achievement. Up in Townsville this year, that's a big achievement. So good signs for Benji and Tim.
Yeah, it looks like the players have really reacted to it already. They're playing some footy, and against Cowboys too. I think they're the first best or second best defensive team in the competition. So they've done really well.
I think the Cowboys players were saying that Todd Payton usually doesn't really give them sprays. I imagine he might have delivered his first big spray.
I tell you what, he's very scary when he gives a spray, because I played with him, and I remember I stuffed up once about 3 or 4 games in my career, and I never wanted to do anything wrong next to Toddy ever again.
How long did you play with him?
Played 2 years with Toddy. You don't want to get on the bad side of Toddy.
What did you do?
Oh, I think I was at marker and just something happened. I bit into the hooker, and it sort of stuffs up the defensive line, mate. And there was like a try like 2 sets later. And when we got in there, he just pinpointed at me and I can't really repeat what he said, but I've never forgot it.
He's got a bit of a fearsome look on his face.
He's got those eyes,
doesn't he?
He's got those eyes. And, mate, when he talks to you, like, you look at him and it's like your old man giving you a hiding when you're a young kid.
Well,
he's done a great job.
He's done an incredible job. There was drama up in Townsville, but there was drama with the Dogs and the Titans as well. Lots to dissect from that game. Firstly, the alleged eye gouge from Corey Waddell. He's been sent straight to the judiciary. What did you make of that, Reedy?
It didn't look good, did it? Didn't look good at all. It's interesting now Tino's come out and defended him, but I'm not sure that'll carry any weight with the judiciary. It never does when the victim comes out and defends the antagonist, because I think the judiciary pay little attention to it. So I'm not sure that'll help him at all. The fact they referred it suggests they think it's really serious.
Do you reckon it's worse because there was a bit of bad blood before the game as well,
probably.
and it was the exact player that copped the incident?
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's going to
It's probably
weigh
put
him
the
down a bit?
focus on a bit.
That's-
Yeah.
Indicates there was intent.
Say it happened to Dave Fafita or AJ Brimson. You sort of like, you probably get away with it a little bit more. But the other thing that's hard is he's behind Tino. Tino's facing the other way, and he's just trying to pull. So he's probably going in a bit aggressive. Probably accidental that he's got
Well,
the
you
eye.
know better than anyone would. I mean, the fact his hands ended up
you don't
on his face.
He's a big man, Tino. So they're just trying to stop him. But there's times where you can get caught in the wrong situation. And obviously that there's been a lot of hype about the battle between Tavita Pingai Jr. and Tino. You're going to go in a lot harder, but sometimes things go wrong, and this is what happens. Like he just went in. He probably wouldn't have went in with the intent of eye gouging, but just because he's trying to squeeze him and get him down, the hands just slipped up and clipped the eye.
Yeah. Well, he's facing a long spell because if it's got referred straight to judiciary, that means you're facing at least anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. I would think.
Yeah, it's not a good look when you get referred straight away.
What about the fan who's thrown a water bottle onto the field for Josh Addo-Carr?
They tried to say that he was celebrating, didn't they? The fan was through it in the air to celebrate, but honestly, it went about 20 metres out.
You'd have to go like that, wouldn't you? Not like that. Honestly,
the fan must have done it on purpose.
Oh, had to have. I was watching it when it happened, and I thought, I swear someone's
Does
thrown
that
a bottle
fan
at him.
deserve a
But you look at Josh Addo-Carr when he's running, he's that quick, he just looks and just keeps going. Like, it was unbelievable.
He was probably scared of getting hit by another bottle.
I reckon, mate, you can't come to a game and throw bottles at players.
So what do we ban them?
Yeah, I'd say see you later.
Life ban?
Yeah, 100%.
I wouldn't, maybe not a life ban.
You
would
can't
you?
throw.
Come on,
you can't throw a bottle at an athlete.
Well, you can't. No, it's pretty poor.
You're paying to come to watch these guys play, and if things don't go your way, you can't just get the craps and then want to throw it at them.
Okay, we'll give them a life ban then. They're life ban.
From that stadium.
First week and Woodsie's already running the show.
He's convinced me, yeah.
But what if it was a glass bottle or something?
What if someone's throwing something on Unisol on Reedy while you're doing Reedy's mouth?
Happens all the time. Normally they throw abuse at me.
Do they actually?
I'd rather abuse.
No. You can't. They don't have glass bottles at grounds. I think everything's
of course,
plastic, so you're pretty good. Yeah, you're safe
course.
there.
No,
Let's
people
just sneak one in yourself.
Some people sneak in a bit of alcohol.
Is that
Little
right?
flask.
I would never do
Is that personal experience? No?
Never. I don't
Anyway,
drink.
it's pretty poor. It was pretty poor form from that supporter. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
What about the Kevin Proctor
what about
drama? Vaping at halftime. It wasn't in the 17, but then puts up an Instagram story. It was deleted. It's a bad look, isn't it?
When you think you've seen everything in rugby league, think again. I don't understand what he was doing. Honestly, it's just I don't understand why he's done that. To put it on his
ridiculous.
own Instagram page. You got young kids watching you. It's just silly.
And did he put up something like halftime vape or something? He just gave himself up.
But for me as well, you got that much attention on your club already. Your coach is under the pump. You just don't need to bring any unwanted attention to you. Why would you do that at halftime? Let alone do it at all. You wouldn't even do it on a night when you're having beers and you put on you're with the boys on Instagram. It's just a silly act, especially how senior a player he is as well. I think he used to be the captain of the club.
He did,
Just poor form.
I don't think he hasn't got a deal for next year either. So this isn't going from memory. I don't think he's got a deal. This isn't going to help. This won't help him get a new deal.
Nah, not at all.
I mean, why would you touch him now?
Well, he's had an indiscretion in the past in the Kiwis camp.
He can't make the team, so he's obviously not playing well. And now he's done this. I mean, he might as well kiss his career goodbye.
Where does he have to go overseas?
Well, I think he would have had to have gone overseas anyway. But, I mean, he obviously hasn't got a deal there yet either. So that suggests that...
And I've met him a few times. He's a really good fella too. He must have just been, caught up in the moment and he might have just thought he was probably sending it to close mates. You still don't do that anymore.
What's the deal with vaping? Kids vape at my kid's school, my oldest son's school. What's going on
in
there?
high school?
In high school?
High school, yeah.
They're
They go on the
vaping in
toilet
high
and
school?
vape everywhere. It's rife throughout high schools. It's terrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are your children doing it?
No, I hope not.
I've never seen it before, really. That was the first time I've seen
Oh,
the
yeah,
vapes.
of course it was. Yeah. My kids are doing it. Oh, there'll be drama.
There are lots of different flavours, actually.
Apparently, yeah.
That's probably
What's
they
the
just
best
enjoy.
flavour? Yeah.
There's like a mango.
Have you tried
there's after a wedding once. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. I can understand how people do it because
Really?
it's.
Oh,
can
hold
be a
on.
bit
We don't
tasty.
condone this.
No, we
It's
don't.
not
condone this at
condoning
all.
vaping
No.
or
Come on, Em.
smoking of any description.
Anyway, moving on. What does that loss mean for the future of their coach, Justin Holbrook?
Well, I was pretty concerned about him on Sunday. I actually tweeted something at half time when they were getting belted and then they turned around and almost won the game in the end, so people were giving it to me. I don't think there's any. I'm told there's no appetite at all to sack Justin Holbrook at the Gold Coast, and they've obviously got rid of some staff around him. Jimmy Dimmick's gone. I think the strength and conditioner's gone.
Yeah, Clint Hall.
So I think the idea is they're going to rebuild the staff around him rather than getting rid of Justin. And you know, Justin had a good year last year with them, although I think they only won 10 games and made the final. So you know that probably
But he's shown that he can coach up there. I
Yeah.
think the biggest loss for him has been Jamal Fogarty. You know,
Yeah.
the spine they've got, they're all under 50 games. You know, obviously Brimson's played one game for Queensland.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe they let Fogarty go at the start of the year. It was a massive game for Canberra. But, you know, they're getting Kieran Foran next year.
they need a hooker though, Woodsy,
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, they do need a hooker. But
Yep.
I think Kieran Foran can really help the young halves they've got up there.
Yep.
You know, and they've got I like that Campbell.
Yeah, he looked
Young
all right
fella,
when he
yeah.
came on, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he's had a bit of a hamstring in the last few weeks. So, and the thing is that Holbrook has shown that he can coach. It's not like they're not playing for him. They're obviously down by 20 points yesterday. They tried so close to get back in the game. They're not giving up. They just lack that fine tuning in the middle there, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah. The impression I get is that nothing will happen before the end of the year, and my impression is they'll start next year with him, Justin Holbrook. So, and then obviously it'll probably hinge on how results go early next year.
The
They
other thing
start
is,
poorly. Is
What
that
coaches
another
are
part?
out there to get?
There's plenty of coaches out there. Paul Green,
Oh, yeah.
Flano,
Flano,
Flano's been linked everywhere.
Dean Young,
Yeah, Young,
Madge,
yeah.
Madge,
Yeah.
Ben Hornby. Coaches
John
everywhere.
Morris.
Yeah, John Morris, your mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There's a few out there.
There's quite a few, actually.
Yeah. Christian Wolf.
When you think about it. But he's going to Redcliffe.
He's going to
isn't he?
Redcliffe, yeah.
Isn't he the long-term successor up there?
He is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's coaches out there. It's just whether they want to go down that path. I would have thought if they did make that change, Paul Green's a logical one. Lives in the area, lives in South East Queensland, Queenslander.
Yep.
Almost got the job last time, won a premiership. Greeny's a logical one for me, but at the moment, I don't think they're going to go down that path.
Okay, he's safe for now.
He's safe for now.
He's safe for now, just like you are as safe as houses on Triple M probably for the next 10 years.
Reedy's Mail.
Okay.
All
Let's
right.
start with a team out of Woodsy, Ben Hunt. It's a big week for Ben Hunt this week.
Why is that?
His management's meeting with the club, start contract negotiations,
Oh, yeah.
kick them off in earnest. He's got a year left in that deal, Ben Hunt. It's on about $1 million next year.
Well, that'd be silly not to sign him.
Yeah,
He's
I
been
think they're looking at probably two years for him. My gut feel is they want to maybe reduce the amount they're paying him because, as I said, he's on $1 million next year. So he had a 6 year, $6 million deal. It peaked at 1.2. So it went up and then came down again. It's now sort of on the way down again. I imagine they want to maybe keep it gradually going down a little bit in his later years.
You still got to keep it high. He's the best
Yeah.
player in our club. You know, he showed he's one of the best players on the field in Origin the other night as well.
Yeah.
And he's a type of player that can attract other players to come to play for the Dragons.
Do you get the impression he enjoys life there, Woodsy?
I think he's really balanced.
Yeah.
He's got a really good wife, two young boys at home, and when he comes into training, he's switched on, really focused. But when you're away from training, he's one of those guys that can just switch things off so easily and just get away. And little things don't faze him. I think what he's learned over time, obviously, he's been, you know, we all know with that drop ball in the grand final, he copped a bit of flack for that. But he really knows his game right now, and he's in a really good place. And you know, probably if you take him out of our side, we don't win half as many games as we won so far this year. But he is a must sign for Dragons. He's been our best player by far.
I'm surprised the Dolphins haven't had a bigger go at him. I know they're focusing on Cameron Munster, but why wouldn't you also ask the question of Ben Hunt?
I reckon.
I'm surprised they haven't done that.
Yeah, well,
And Wayne would know him.
I would have thought the Broncos or Dolphins, but then to see how good Adam Reynolds has played this year, they don't need a half now. But like you said, the Dolphins, they needed someone in their spine because they've got a couple of young kids up there. But yeah, I just hope he stays at Dragons because he's been a real good player there. He's our captain, and really don't want to lose him.
I get the impression he doesn't want to go anywhere, so I reckon they'll knock that over pretty quickly.
So you think he would be happy to take a slight cut?
Well, I would have thought. I mean,
Just for the stability.
I'm not talking $500,000
Yeah.
pay cut. I'm talking, maybe
He's
100,
on
200.
900,000.
Yeah, still not a bad wicket. Almost as much as you earn.
I'd
for all your gigs.
take that, whatever. You have more invoices than anyone in the game.
Exactly.
What's going to be more problematic is the other bloke, Damien Cook, because his manager's meeting South Sydney this week to sort of ramp up contract negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he's got a year left in his deal, Cookie. And I think the issue here is going to be over the term because there's been a lot of talk that he came out the other day and said he wants 3 years. I think South's preference is 2 years.
Is this going to be another Adam Reynolds?
Well,
saga?
They've got Mamazoulis there too.
Yeah.
They've got
don't they?
Mamazoulis,
Yeah.
who's signed long term, and the idea is he'd succeed from Damien down the track.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be the issue. And we'll know a bit more on this front this week when they actually sit down and talk brass tacks.
Do you reckon after what happened last year with Adam Reynolds that they'll be, it might persuade him to keep Cookie for 3 years?
I reckon they'd be a bit wary about a repeat of what happened last with Adam.
You don't want that happening again.
No. So I'd say they won't want it dragged out in the media like that one went for ages last year.
For quite a while, yeah.
Yeah.
And particularly given, you've already got Lockie Elias there who is young. It's probably you're in a different position whereby then two of your 4 spine players have only played under 20 first grade
But you also
games.
got to be careful you don't block Mamazoulis' path because otherwise he'll get frustrated. And we've seen the Dragons with Sloan. All the talk about Sloan wanting to potentially leave down the track.
Well, do you bring Mazoulis off the bench and tell Cookie, we'll give you 3 years, but you're going to limit your game time a little bit?
Well, I think that's what I would think they'd look at down the track. So, but then
because it might prolong his career
but
as well.
with that also, Woodsy, comes an understanding that maybe if you're playing less,
money-wise,
you're not getting paid as much, right?
Which is fair enough if you want to get that extra year.
The other issue, and I
well.
mentioned Sloan then, the other issue with the Dragons is if Ben Hunt commits long term, Jaden Sullivan won't be hanging around at the Dragons. You can bet your bottom dollar he'll want to get out and move on. So, I'd imagine it's a similar thing with South. If Cookie signs on long term and there's not an understanding there will be a succession there, I would have thought Mamazoulis would potentially want to go and find somewhere else to play because he's not going to, he's waited.
It's going to be hard.
He's waited a couple. If you've got to wait 3 more years.
Well, how old's Mamazoulis?
Oh, he's the same age as Ilias, isn't he?
21.
21.
Oh, so they're still kids. There's a lot to learn in the game. You don't want to be thrown out there straight away. If you get, he's a middle player as well. The difference between Sloan, he's a fullback. There's a lot more to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be getting bashed around in the middle.
Anyway, we'll keep our eye on that one with Cookie because that's going to be interesting. And finally, Manasi Fanu, the forgotten man of rugby league.
Yeah, yep.
His court case started today.
Okay,
It's got huge ramifications for Manly, obviously, because they've stood by Manasi for a long time. They've got basically a deal agreed with him, a new contract agreed with him that's sitting in a drawer waiting to be signed if he is found not guilty of this obviously long-standing charge. Charges have been laid against him. I think it's been over 2 years since he played a game of footy. He's had some shoulder problems, a couple of shoulder operations. And he's in court today. So
if he gets off, he'll get a 2-year deal.
Yep,
straight away.
At Manly, yeah. And you talk to guys at Manly about him, they rave about how good a player.
Well,
he is.
They let Appy Coruscant go to keep him, and then
keep him.
obviously had the dramas was what he's going through now.
Yeah,
he would be a massive boost. And does that mean he can come back for the back end of this year?
It
or
would.
Depending on how long the court case
How long,
goes.
No,
how long does the court case
No,
take?
he'd be able to come back straight away.
And is he right with? You just said he had shoulder
well,
problems.
that's the issue. His shoulder. Whether his shoulder's good enough to come back straight away.
Geez, what a boost that'll be for Manly going into the home stretch.
Yep. Yep.
Because he is a good player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Is there any
Hasn't
truth
played in a long time though.
to the suggestions that Turbo will be back?
Well,
That was an
I saw
aggressive
him on the
point
today.
from
That
me.
was an
Hey,
aggressive
I'll
point.
give you a little bit of
Yeah.
Woodsy's mail. I
Yes.
seen Reedy and Turbo cuddling on Friday night at the
Cuddle,
game.
wasn't it? Cuddle.
And he-
Cuddling.
Yeah,
That's an
and
exaggeration.
he was trying to get it out of him. Is he coming back? Are you coming back, mate? How's the shoulder going? Would not leave him alone at Cogra there
Reedy's
the
the
night.
biggest
I
sucker.
had to drag him away from you.
Oh,
You were
stop
badgering
it.
him.
Stop it.
We
I'm
should
not a
put that
Manly
in. We
supporter,
should
come
tell.
on.
That should have been in Buzz's column.
He was on the Today Show this morning, actually. I sent him a text saying, "What about you?"
What was he doing?
He was just chatting. He was promoting the Gotcha for Life Cup for
Would have
Gussie
been
Wallin's.
earning it for sure.
No, I think
Turbos.
they made him go to early. It was like really early. And they asked him about it as well, and he was a bit more gun shy than he was last week when he spoke about it. He's a bit more hesitant about getting back. He said, I hope
Desi's probably got into his ear. That's why.
Desi would have got into his ear. He said, I hope to be back, but I'm not. There's no guarantees. Just depends on how I recover and how deep we go into the season.
Imagine they got him back. Like, imagine you could come back just before semis.
If he didn't play a game the rest of this year, would you take him on a kangaroo tour?
100%.
Can you do that?
100%. Mao's so loyal, he'll take him on for sure.
Even though he hasn't played a game.
Doesn't matter. He's part of that. He's part of the group. That's what Mao's all about. He's not just about.
Yeah, but would he be able to play?
Yeah, if he hasn't played, 100%.
Really?
Mao normally has a couple of warm-up games before he goes, and then you got, obviously, with the World Cup, you got pretty much, I think, 3 or 4 pool games, quarters, semis, then final. There's 7-8 games there.
Yeah, so you can play him in some warm-up or pool games. It's not like you're shoving him into the
I'd have
final.
him there, just have him around the group, and if Mao's going to blood a couple youngsters, just to show him what Turbo does, how he prepares for games, how he gets himself ready.
It's a big call.
Mate, you've got to have him over there for his experience. He was in the World Cup in 2017. He was a young kid then he didn't obviously play the final, but he was part of the squad.
Okay. Good experience, that stuff, the World Cup, huh?
It's the best.
Yeah.
Best tour.
Yeah.
You getting a junket over there this year,
I
Reedy?
might be going, There's a little whisper, I
who
might be going.
Who are you going with?
No, with the telly.
Oh, how good are you?
Yeah. It's a long trip, though. It's 7 weeks.
Honestly, it's the best 7
A
weeks of your
Triple M
life.
doing the. We're not sure yet. We're going to do
Ooh,
our
well,
best.
Sideline.
Maybe we could
Side-
do
need
a
sideline
little a
reporter?
joint sideline deal.
Are you going?
Well, I'm trying to get over there.
I'm filthy. I've got nothing
Can
in me.
Can you stay away from me, please?
No,
You
we've,
stay out too late for me. I
we've-
can't go with you.
we've had a discussion about which journos we'd like to go and
Yeah,
which
we
ones
have.
we won't.
Yes.
We think 7 weeks with Christian Nicolosi is too much.
Oh, my God. Imagine that.
Who would you like to room with over there?
No, I don't room with anyone. You go on your own.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I've got my own room. Yeah, I'm not rooming with people.
Oh, it's the best room with people. You don't live by yourself the whole time.
No. Who'd you room with? The World
Big
Cup?
Clem.
Oh, you and Clemmer. Oh, mama.
It's a good week. Good. It was good 7 weeks.
Was it? Yeah,
Oh.
what do you mean? Yeah.
Where do you want to go home?
What was this? Did they stitch you up or Chammy?
No, they stitched me up, but that was
No,
at
it wasn't us.
That was
wasn't us that stitched.
no. Chammy stitched me up. But it was
Reedy
with
actually
these
had my
blokes.
back.
Yeah,
So
Was that,
solid.
That was in the Origin camp. though.
That's
that wasn't
right.
the World Cup. Yeah,
What did
Yeah.
they do?
Chammy changed his
My-
number on my phone and made it Woodsy.
Yeah.
So he was texting me. Chammy
And you're
was texting
thinking
me,
Woodsy's
and I
texting
think
you.
it was Woodsy.
And
He was
he- and-
asking me all these,
And like some pretty heavy questions that I would never speak to Reedy
like about manscaping and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's like, Reedy, I need your help. I've stuffed up. And so Reedy's hit the panic button. He's just rattled. And then next thing you know, Clem and I walk past his
No,
room.
but I said I'll look after you.
and
mate.
we're giving it to Reedy. Yeah, Reedy. And he walks out and goes, mate, everything okay? And we're like, what are you talking about? And yeah, he was filthy.
That's
Wow.
why you don't want to room with blokes because they get your phone, they change numbers, and they just play pranks on you. Can you
Wow.
imagine 7 weeks with Nicolosi?
Okay, if you had one journo that you just absolutely could not room with.
Oh, could not room with.
Yeah.
Oh no, Chamis, pest. Doesn't drink. Most boring man on the planet,
he?
Chamis.
You don't
it's
drink, do you,
terrible.
Reedy?
I have a drink
Oh,
every now
yeah?
and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reedy's actually quite fun.
Is
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
I'm a happy
Find
drinker.
that hard to
yeah,
believe.
Yeah. Chamis is just a pest.
I thought Reedy'd just be sitting there going, oh,
and you know
another
what?
$5 a beer.
Chamis had worked too hard. And you don't want someone who works really hard going on a camp. You know, you want someone who's just knows when to switch it
No,
off.
What about
You know-
Riccio? I reckon Riccio would be all right.
Ricky, I'd be okay, yeah.
we were discussing this the other night at the Manly
We
game.
were. I said, I want
he-
people to go who won't work too hard.
He
'cause then I've got to
wanted
work hard.
people that wouldn't be competition and wouldn't be a threat. And then looked at me and said, "Oh yeah, you should come over."
Oh, wow.
What a dog!
Wow. That's
I
a-
didn't
that's
mean
a
it that
kick in
way.
the back, mate.
Oh, honestly.
That's what you said. Anyway,
You know, you just go, all right, you work one day, I work the next.
Yeah. I don't think that works. I don't think it works that way. But
doesn't
anyway.
work that way. All right. Anyway, it'll be fun. Is that the end of your mail? Did we hijack your
sorry.
mail?
Yeah, no, that's it.
No,
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
good mail. Anyway,
Thanks.
we'll work on getting across to the World
Yeah.
Cup. Woodsy, it's been great to have you on,
Thanks for having
and
us.
I think we'll lock you in for a
Bring you back
long-term
next
deal.
week?
Hopefully
Yeah,
see
I
you
think
next
you're
week.
back. I think you've earned yourself a 5-year deal out of this.
Oh, appreciate
Good
it.
deal.
I'm going nowhere then.
So we'll see Woodsy and everyone else next week on the Monday Scrum.